The biggest bank we did. I got 39,000 something. That was enough to buy 2 houses in suburbs of Melbourne. So it was actually the newspapers that prompted my brother to push forward with it and to try and involve me in it, because they were actually promoting it as a good job for people to do if they needed 20, 30,000 cash. I went, boys, I'm armed up with 39 grand. You will not be catching me today. And they didn't know I was the After Dark Bandit. Well, I did time with Chopper, so, and I went to school with him. And nobody knows the truth except for me. So guess what? You won't be getting any answers today.
In part 2 of my chat with former bank robber Doug Morgan, we delve further into the life of a notorious armed robber, how he and his brother Pete were arrested after a police officer was shot during an armed robbery. We also discuss how he survived Pentridge Jail, how he turned his life around, and the warning he has for others that might consider following the path he took. I also asked Doug how he now feels about all the people he terrorised during his career as a bank robber. It was an interesting chat, that's for sure. Okay, Doug Morgan, welcome back to part 2 of I Catch Killers.
Hang on, what am I doing on this one? I'm not a killer.
You meant to say something. Yeah, but it's a fine line when you walk into a bank or a TAB with a gun.
I totally agree, and when I look back, see what the mistake I made. I was a bank teller. I believe that anybody behind the counter in a TAB or a bank was trained the same as I was. Yeah. Because I grew up in a crime family, my capacity to handle things is probably different to people who have been trained but don't have the capacity to handle the actual live situation. So I actually believe that they would be about as stressed as I would be if I was the bank teller. I wasn't allowed to have a gun because I was 17 when I was a bank teller. I'd been trained. But I wasn't actually physically allowed to have a gun. So I went down the street to, let's say, an army disposal store, and I bought the biggest and longest and most offensive-looking letter opener I could have, and used to put it on my desk on my teller's unit. And if you try to rob me, I'm going to stab you with my letter opener.
Well, see, that's the thing when you go in there, and that's why I talk about the risk, or before you go in, you do not know how people are going to react when confronted by that situation.
Well, do you want to know how I felt about all that, being a bank teller?
How?
I used to think, hope they don't shoot me, because I'll probably be on their side. I now tell a joke that if you had tried to rob me in those days, I would have went, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me, and we'll all go home happy tonight.
What hope did that bank have? Did you get sacked or did you quit as a teller?
Well, I had to leave with my father.
Oh, that's right. You said.
Do you want a real scoop? You want a real scoop?
Yeah, give us a scoop. We're always out for a scoop.
Right. I was a brilliant bank teller.
Yeah.
And in those days, it wasn't computerised, and it was up to me every night to balance my books.
Yep.
And because I was pretty good at it, the number one teller never used to check my money.
Yep.
And I started to work this out, that I was pretty well trusted. We were on the first floor of a building right in the middle of the city in Melbourne.
Yeah.
In the basement was a TAB. Now, myself and one of my knockabout mates that was working at the bank, who became buddies, because we were two of the, let's say, working class boys.
Yeah.
Normally on a lunchtime, the other boys would say to me, Dougie, you want to go down and look at ties in the shops? I go, what the hell are you talking about? Look at ties? I've got one tie, that's it. I've got one suit, that's it. Leave me alone. Anyway, so what we would do at lunchtime is we would sort out some bets. I would withdraw money from my unit and would make a plunge.
Right.
Now, in the old days, TABs paid you out at 5:30 after the day's takings.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get the money back, win or lose, in time to balance my books. So I would have to falsify nearly every night my bank tally's unit, or we'd call it, it was a unit, but money would go back in the safe every night. So I would falsify my books most nights to cover my betting, and the next day I'd get the money the next lunchtime, so I'd work a day behind. So I had the ANZ basically bankrolling Doug Morgan punter.
The betting thing. Well, I can't see how that could have gone wrong if you lost. Lucky you had something to get back. But
it did lose once, and I had to sign, because this can be done just in paperwork.
Yeah.
So I made a withdrawal the next day once out of my savings account to balance the books, because I only remember losing once.
Yeah.
And I actually did lose $80 out of my own account.
You're juggling.
But it felt better when it was theirs.
Well, doesn't hurt as much when you lose someone else's money, I suppose. I want to clarify one thing before we go into this next part. Your brother's still around?
Yes.
And you two are talking. I don't want to cause a rift in the family.
He came down to see me actually on the weekend at Brewdog Bar in Pentridge.
Well, talk us through the police officer that was shot, and Ray Kosh. And what's the factual account of it that when your brother shot Ray Kosh?
Okay, I wasn't there.
Yep.
There was never any planning for shooting people. Yep. That was off limits.
Yep.
If you got to that point, you'd failed. You'd failed our rules of engagement. Mm. We had rules of engagement that if the job was too hot, you walk away. His ego didn't allow that. Anyway, so he drags the copper out of the car and says, "You're a copper." Mm. He takes his car keys off and throws into the paddock next to, and shoves the gun into his stomach. This guy who was driving home, an innocent copper. My brother's got a way of belittling people when he's got a gun in his hand. The next time he goes there, Ray Kosh got close to him, and the gun was again in the side of a person's body, and this time the gun goes off. Mm. The next day, he allows another copper to get close to him, and the gun again goes into the stomach of a copper, but this time the safety was on, and he's left-handed, so he couldn't get the safety off, according to the copper.
This was Rick Hasty.
Now, forget about everything else. Just as a common sense person, if you keep sticking guns against people's bodies, when does it go off?
Yeah, well,
it's not a good look.
There's consequences, and the risk. And you said you always looked at the bank if it's too hot, and look at risks and try to mitigate the risk.
Let's say I've got you. You're a copper.
Yeah.
Let's say I've got you. You've got no gun.
Yep.
And I've got a gun.
Yep.
I'd be foolish to let you come within arm's reach of me, wouldn't I?
Oh, you'd be in trouble if you did.
Yeah, because you're going to have a go.
Yeah.
Guess what my brother did? He used to walk up and stick the gun in the side of them, which means he went to 3 coppers and allowed all of them to be within struggling range. Now, I have a flip. Look, I make jest of a lot of things. And sometimes I even make jest of this. Guns are not for wrestling over.
No, that's very true. Very true.
I'll tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that I've never said to anybody.
Okay.
I asked my brother why he had got out of the search area after shooting Ray Kosh and robbing the bank. And look, I don't know if it was accidental. You don't know. We'll never know. I wasn't there. He didn't follow our procedures and continued, and that was the result of him not following our procedures of engagement with police. Our rules of engagement should not have allowed him to even be there when the police were so hot. But he broke those rules because his ego, and he being the commander-in-chief, or general as he saw himself, he kept changing the rules. Now,
and the rules being the pact that you guys had made.
Yeah,
about the
we
way
had
you
rules
carry
that
your
we
jobs.
discussed.
Yeah.
Everything was discussed and planned down to the... We had, in the scrub, we had flash torches, not to be used because a helicopter would see them, but for a pickup point, if it was at night time, we have codes. And I'll flash you the code if I'm picking you up, and you'll flash me back a code. even to the extent, if you don't flash me back the code and you're in a car, I won't come out because the coppers might have you in your car. So unless you give me the real code, I'm not even coming out, even if I know it's you. So we had everything really well regimented for the safety of everybody. Do you think we plan robberies to get caught? We plan robberies to go home. Now, the next day, I asked him, he breached your perimeter because our planning, even after shooting a copper, and you flooded the area, or your, let's say you. We'll keep it you and me, mate. It's you and me today. All right.
I'm happy. You're getting me excited. I'd like to be going after you guys. Yeah. Okay, we've set up the perimeter.
I think we can do a movie. If I saw you, if I draw first, don't draw yours because I'll let you go home, but you let me walk as well. We'll be doing good that day. Okay. But the trouble is you're going to shoot me do you know what I planned once? To make... I was going to have on the back of my bike a rack that was bulletproof, so you couldn't shoot me as I rode away.
Well, I think Ned Kelly came up with that a few years ago or before.
And I'm not a Ned Kelly fan. I paint Ned Kelly, but I'm not a fan because he broke my rules too. He shot people. Shot people.
Well, I'm glad you understand that because I saw the result, whether it was in the stick-ups or in homicide where people get shot. It's devastating.
Absolutely. Now, I said to my brother, you got out of the search area, you got to the pickup point. If it's too hot and I can't get in because there's too many cops, because there was a perimeter and he broke the perimeter, but he didn't break the outside perimeter.
Yeah.
So they had a first perimeter was about 10 kilometres, which was normal in those days.
Inner and outer perimeter?
Yep. Outer perimeter was a lot wider, and I couldn't get back in to get him out of the pickup point. And our pickup point was daylight the next day because we're working in the country. If you're hot, it's the next day. If I can't get in because it's too hot, and I actually went through a roadblock, and I was quick enough to work out how to get back outside the roadblock that I'd just driven through. That's a time for another story. But if I don't pick him up at the pickup point at daylight, he has to wait 24 hours. Because I'll be coming. I need to get you out of there because...
Are we talking generally here or is this...
No, this was on the last job.
This was the last job.
But the same rules followed. The pickup point was at a certain time. If the pickup point was not accessible, wait 24 hours and go... A bit like in the army where they have to be at a helicopter pickup point.
Yeah.
You have times to be picked up. If it doesn't happen, it's 24 hours pick up. 24 hours. Because if I'm not there, there's a reason why I'm not picking you up. Because it's for your safety, my safety, and everybody's safety. I'm not coming in. Anyway, so I said to him a few years ago, I said, so why didn't you stay at the pickup point? Because they would have never found you. And the After Dark Bandit could have assessed what you've done and decided what the future was. I would have been stressing to him that it was over and we walk away and it's all over and the war is over with the coppers and the chess games and all that. Thank your lucky stars that we can still walk away and hopefully everything will be okay. Now, do you know what he said to me? I play by the rules. If I shoot one of you guys, what does that mean? I have given you right to shoot me on sight.
Well, you're going to have a ton of bricks coming down on you, that's for sure.
Do you know what I said to him? He said, they would have shot me. Now, I think that is so two-faced. I said to him immediately, but you shot one of them. And now you tell me you're going to run because you're worried they're going to shoot you. If I shot one of you guys, I would take my punishment, whatever that may be.
The old adage, live by the sword, die by the sword, if you want to start engaging in gun battles.
Well, I'm certainly... Well, exactly. But I would have... If I had shot one of you guys, it would have been by accident. Yeah. Maybe a warning shot that went wrong or something like that. But I don't think that would have happened. And I've never been really tested. I like to think that I would have been good enough to avoid a full-on confrontation. I like to believe... And that's maybe one thing I really don't want to even answer or even think about because It's horrific if I had to answer that. And
It's a hard question to answer, isn't it? What would you do if a cop, if I fronted you with a gun and it was freedom or put a bullet in me? What you must have processed that in your mind at some stage.
No, I think I really had belief in my strategies.
Yeah.
Because the strategies were going pretty good. We up to 23 jobs without a skerrick of evidence. So probably the further it went, you started to believe your strategies were working and that you were a good tactician and you were really playing a game of chess with the coppers, and they kept losing.
You said with your brother, like ego kicked in. That was it a false ego or belief that you both might have had that okay, we can get away with this. We're outsmarting them. Look, they're running around like headless chooks.
No, because what I knew, because he didn't see this. Yep. What I knew, every time we started stealing a motorbike, we were giving you one up.
Yeah.
You would go, one motorbike from a motorbike shop. And they would usually be country motorbike shops. So what would that mean if you're chasing... Look, you would have dealt with serial crimes in your life.
Yeah, we mightn't be the sharpest pencil in the pack as cops, but if in a lead up to an armed robbery that a motorbike gets stolen in a country town, then the bank gets robbed, do it twice, we might start to see something. 3 times, we'll be going, okay.
So
we know what's going down.
Knew what he was doing. Before I decided not to do any more, I'll be honest, I tried to talk him into changing our MO, not striking as often and not striking as the After Dark Bandit. Because what people don't realise, and it's still with me today, that I stopped. Do you think because I stopped, I was free?
Yeah. When you say stop, but like this last job where the shooting, because he got arrested after that, what were you doing looking to pick him up?
What happened was...
out of it?
What happened, I said I would never carry a gun again. I would never. Okay. And I wasn't going to work with him again. But a friend of mine asked me if they could borrow $10,000 to put together an interstate truck business.
Yeah.
And I went, Then I knew he was about to pull a job. And he'd been averaging about $15,000. And I said to him, I'll give you assistance, but I'm not in ever again. I need $10,000 for a friend.
Yeah.
Now, that was also false loyalty to my brother right through the whole thing. And then again, when I look at it, that was false loyalty to my friend.
Yeah.
Because I was willing to go back against my own decision to get $10,000 not even for me, it was for somebody else. So,
Doug, I've heard of too many old school guys like yourself that have come unstuck because of that misguided loyalty and getting dragged back into things because, look, you owe us a favour, just do this one thing, and time and time again, people sitting here having a chat tell that story.
You want to know? You want to know the real story?
Yeah.
And my brother knows it, so I can say this. I couldn't actually look him in the eye at one stage and say, he worked on me and worked on me and worked on me when I told him I'm out.
Yeah. So
I thought, just to end this continual harassment of you got to do a job, you can't get out, I never planned the job. He told me a job. And a week before he did the last job, I agreed to go to do the job.
Yeah.
Nobody knows this. But it's important because it's got a lot to do with peer group pressure.
Yeah.
Which is an evil force.
Well, it's a lesson to pass on to others too, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
So we take a motorbike to the area, same as we normally did, in the back of a horse float. So you can drive all around Australia with a horse float. You've got horses, you haven't got motorbikes. Nobody's going to suspect a horse robbing a bank. They're expecting if you have a motorbike on an open trailer. I saw that guy this morning driving a Falcon GT towing...
I see the logic of your thinking, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so he takes me to the area of a job.
Yeah. The
job was up at Hayfield. And this is the honest gospel and something I've never spoken about before. But I think these things are important. I knew I wasn't going to pull the job. I sabotaged the bike. Didn't do the job.
Right.
He knows that. The bank didn't go down.
Right.
Now, in a strange way, I carry a bit of guilt. If I carry that job out and I do it safely, maybe Kosh doesn't get shot.
I see the connection, yeah.
And when the job doesn't go down, he comes back to get me. And I go, I couldn't get the bike going. There's something wrong with it. I knew exactly what was wrong with it. I did it. Now, so in a strange way, I have a little bit of guilt.
And so the job where Kosh got
that would have never gone down. Would have never gone
after
down.
that because he had to do a job. When you guys were doing this and known as the After Dark Bandits,
yes.
You became or bandit, even though there was two of you. You became the most wanted person in Australia. How did that feel? No, and not most wanted because everyone liked you. Most wanted by the cops because you kept robbing places.
Well, in a strange way, I suppose I wear it as a badge.
Yeah.
But I see the funny side to it, that compared to a lot of other criminals, I'm a novice, very non-dangerous. So it just shows you how exaggerated the tag can be.
And I would imagine that it would have hit the media and you would have been following the media that Australia's most wanted bandit.
I was looking at my face on the TV going, God, you're an ugly bastard. You better grow a beard.
I was going to ask you this question, but I don't want to get anyone into trouble, but there's probably statute of limitations. Right. Did anyone else know outside you and your brother?
No, and my wife didn't know, and I'll tell you the truth. I discussed this with even friends.
Yeah.
How stupid would I be to tell a wife that I'm a bank robber? There's two bad angles. One, have you got children that play sport and you worry about them hurting themselves playing sport?
Yeah.
Can you imagine a wife sitting at home while you're doing a bank? That'd be pretty stressful. Yeah. That's one reason why you don't tell them. The other reason is I'm a professional trained by my father, and I'm more a crim than most crims will ever be. Yeah. But I choose not to rob banks. Now, so you don't include other people because this is the lesson of life. 40% of marriages break in divorce. Would you like your ex-wife knowing you were a bank robber and asking for more alimony?
No. And look, I'll be honest here. I'm not going to talk about my ex-wives. But from a cop's point of view, they were, ex-partners. Let's put it just in that term. Ex-partners are a great source of information because vengeance can be a terrible thing.
Well,
and we haven't got a breakthrough, but this relationship's broken up, and let's go have a chat with one of the partners.
There's an angle.
Okay, he's got arrested in a laneway by Rick Hasey, the cop there, and part of your agreement between that he doesn't talk and you got at least 12 hours to...
No, hang on. No, there's no agreement. Yep. We had a very heated discussion on Sunday about this. I'm going to put this to you.
Yeah.
Now, all the bank robbers and all the crooks you've ever met, could you imagine two of them sitting down and reaching an agreement where you're going to lag each other after 12 hours?
No, I was surprised, and if I've misinterpreted that, I thought not even going to say a word for 12 hours because I've had... crooks before me that have just sat there and just not said a word. Hard asses.
On Sunday, he tried to convince me that I agreed to that.
That you give him up after 12 hours?
Well,
or that he gives you up after 12 hours?
Yeah, so what sort of fool would I be to say to somebody, yeah, I'm cool if you're giving me up after 12 hours. What the stuff am I going to... I've cleaned that up, haven't I? What the stuff am I going to do with 12 hours? I haven't got a passport.
I'm not part of your crew and I'm not your brothers, but I would have expected that if you get caught, I'm not saying a word about you, and if I get vice versa, like keep your mouth shut.
Well, I'll tell you the real story, how the whole thing was set up. There's two parts to crime, and you know this. All right, we do the bank.
Yeah.
What's the second part of crime? Having alibis and getting away with it. Even if you get caught, you've got to beat the blue in court. Otherwise, why did you do it? Now, the day he shot the copper, I drove his car to his horse trainer's place, and back in those days, we're twins, we looked the same.
Set up the alibi.
I set his alibi up from the front gate because I tooted the horn. He came out of his the stable. I waved to him. Even our voices are similar, and I've yelled out, I'll be back later. So I've just given him an alibi an hour before the bank, and the bank goes down 2.5 hours away. Now, I went home, and my wife, usually in the afternoon, after picking up the children, and the woman across the road picking up the children, they would sit in her lounge room and have a coffee.
Yeah.
So while the bank was going down, I'm sitting across the road in somebody else's house. Now, it's like the old ad. Do you want steak knives as well? The house was the home of a copper.
Okay, so you're setting up the alibi, which is...
That's how we worked.
Yeah, yeah.
And the whole point was, and I'm going to give it to you, I don't know if this would work or not. The original plan, which I was willing to stick to, but he didn't, was that if he gets arrested and they don't shoot him, and he hasn't got ID, the other brother has probably got a bit of time to think what's going to go down, right, because he's dead. It could have been me that was dead, by the way, not just him. Geez, my hand is starting to shake a little bit talking about this. Then let's say they arrest him or they arrest me. There'll be a court appearance, maybe 2 days later or whatever, a bit of slap around, a bit of questioning with the old phone book if you don't talk. Wear the phone book, right? Go to court, because the other twin will walk into court and say not a word and just sit there.
Yeah.
Now, if you were the arresting officer and you saw a twin brother sitting in the audience and you're trying to pin it on this bloke, you have to pin it on the correct brother in the right bank, not as an accessory, but you have to put the right brother in the bank.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've got a lot of problems.
Well, you asked me the question. I can see the complications. I saw it in my own career. I won't mention the actual murder, but a murder where some twins were good persons of interest for it, and they caused a lot of problems by the fact that they were identical.
Do you know what happened once he got arrested? Let's just say he was helping in their investigation.
Cooperating, I think.
Well, I don't. But anyway, so what the whole point was, we're going to now try and beat it in court because you have to pinpoint us. Now, you know that's going to be rather difficult.
Well, you just got to beyond reasonable doubt and you walk free. So,
yeah. Now, what happened was, because he was, let's say, making enough confessions, and the solicitor came in the next day, he said he's seen what's gone down. He said, you do realise that he's cooperated so much that you're now the bad boy. Yep. Do you know what they said to him? If you make the statements and plead guilty, it won't come out in court and you'll be able to sell a movie. You're laughing.
I'm laughing. I think if they're going to come up with something better than that.
Well,
but I understand. Yeah.
Yep, they got him.
Yeah.
His ego, they got him. Now,
well, I have always said in an interview room, you play to a person's weakness or you exploit that weakness. Now, if ego, and I'm talking generally here, I'm not saying it's Pete's thing, but if that's ego, that sometimes, geez, you're a good bank robber. You got away with all these, and then I actually did more. Yeah, you play to people's.
Well, he did. He told them about a job that we did as a 2-man job.
Yeah,
they didn't know about it, but for some reason, he thought they should know. Now. So what should have happened is it should have been a really interesting court battle, because a court battle gives you power.
Yeah.
With, let's say, a plea bargain. What I find out later.
If it's a weaker case, it's easier
now,
to bargain.
My solicitor said straight away, he's given them enough evidence that they won't get you on 25 if you fight it, but they're going to give you 10 years for the first one, because they're not going to let you go. He said, so you got nowhere to go. Now, the next step was the fact that these statements were so strong, and I'm not going to say you'll fit people up, but if you know the story, because he's given you so much information, you can then go to other people and say, where was Doug on a certain night? Because his brother says he was over here. They would have went to my wife and said, on the night of such and such, was your husband home? And she would have said, no, they build houses in the country and he goes away for a week at a time. So I was fitted. because my wife would go, oh, no, he wasn't home that night.
How did that make you feel? Like, were you pissed off with your brother?
No, I'm a very understanding person. I'm not even angry at my brother.
Mm.
You have to take responsibility, because if you keep blaming other people for your life, that means you've got no control.
Well, Doug, that answers a lot to me, because I was looking at your story and your brother's story, and I thought, oh, God, are we going to have an hour of you going, that dog, he did this, he did that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the way I think a lot of people would react, but I understand where you're coming from in that you accept your responsibilities. You're not going to judge others. Everyone's different. So I do get an understanding of what you're saying.
The greatest moment would be in my life if my brother would just accept what he did and stop trying to script the truth to hide his failures in life. Because my life had a lot of failures. The robberies, they're failures. You know what I really think about bank robbers and people in prison? I don't like you. I really don't like you. I knocked around with some of the heaviest criminals in Victoria's history, and I played tennis with them. On a tennis court, we're tennis players. I don't like what you did off this court. While we're on this court, we'll play tennis. But we will not be friends off this court.
It makes sense. And the conversation we had the other day, you were talking about criminals and, even the way you look at... There's criminals that commit crime to make money, for money, crime for money. Then there's criminals that commit crimes of violence, of vengeance, and all the other things that motivate people that commit horrendous crimes. And you deviate between those.
Absolutely.
I
try to explain it to people. Yeah. I'm mixed with Victoria's worst, or in the jail with Victoria's worst, sex offenders and child molesters and all sorts of things. I said, how did I get here? What brought... This is not natural for me. I'm not a natural...
That was your first stint inside?
Yes.
How were you arrested? When were you arrested? And what were you convicted of?
I was convicted of about 24, 25 armed robberies, use of a firearm, stealing motor cars. I was arrested unarmed by about 40 coppers. I didn't surrender. I ran down a laneway off a beach and ran into the side of a divvy van, right? They jumped on me like a rugby scrum, NRL style up there. All I could hear was, grab the bag, there's probably a gun in it. And all I could think of while I'm lying under all these coppers was, grab the gun, it's another Oswald. And then I was handcuffed to two coppers. They take me back to Frankston Police Station. They were told not to talk to me. I kept talking to one of them because he was shaking so badly and he wouldn't talk to me. And I said, look, mate, I know you're not allowed to talk to me, but would you settle down? I'm supposed to be the one that's nervous.
So it was nerves, not anger, who was shaking, you reckon?
I don't know what. And you know what I was thinking? And this is how stupid I am. There's a window behind me and I'm sitting on a desk and it's hard against the window. I was thinking to myself, like in the movies, you see all sorts of things. And I thought, I wonder what happens if I spring up and I throw myself out through the window. Will the cuffs come off before I hit the ground?
Well, probably not. Probably not.
Well, that's the conclusion I reached before I sprang out through the window backwards. And a funny little story is, I've come back to Melbourne after my dad died. So I go and see the bank staff I used to bet with to have a coffee, whatever. At lunchtime, they say, the police want to speak to you. I go, well, yeah, whatever. Now, if I knew I was guilty, I wouldn't have stayed, would I? I waited for the police to turn up. Yeah. Anyway, they take me down and go, we're investigating this about this missing money. I go, so I give them an answer. Well, if it's overseas funds, she has set me up very poorly and she's probably got a house deposit. And they go on about her crying or whatever, and I make jest of it. Yeah. And then I go, all right. And they go, well, we want your dad. And I go, I'll make a deal with you. There's a deal. I'm making the deals. You'll love this deal. I will give you my dad if you guarantee you stop investigating what you're doing today and I walk. They go, yeah, okay, we want your dad. I'll give you my dad. And they go, where is he? I say, he'll be back waiting at my car.
Yep.
So they drive me back to my car. We get there, there's no Dad. They go, "Where's your dad?" I go, "He's here." "We've had enough of you. Where's your dad?" I said, "He's under the passenger seat."
The ashes.
They weren't happy. They didn't. They weren't really happy with me.
I would have laughed if I was them. You got to see the funny side.
Yeah, but when it happens, you probably wanted to give me a slap,
smart
eh?
ass. Yeah.
Look, I've always been a smart. Have you picked up today? I'm a bit of a smart ass.
No, I'm not very perceptive, Doug.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. From the moment, what was your response when I said I'll give you a call tomorrow? I'll just check with my people or something. You text back. Okay, I know what I'm dealing with here.
And look, I make light of it. This is how I went through my jail.
Yeah,
I got on very well.
I do like the fact, and like jail's a very personal experience, and everyone's experience in jail is a little bit different. But I haven't heard you whinge about it. You got a smile on your face, and there's horrific things that happen in jail, as you know better than I do. But
I'll tell you something right here. I'll tell you how horrific it is. See that there? Can you see the cross?
It's a cross, is it?
Yep. There's one here.
Around your neck. Yep.
That is cut out of a window bar, and that's for the 8 young fellas that hung themselves because they couldn't handle the brutality from prison guards, screws, or prisoners trying to rape them. I wear that in honour of those boys.
Yeah. It's horrendous. So your brother did time in the same prison?
Yes, and there was talk that I was going to get him.
Right.
And when I walked in and went into the yard, and they were animal yards, like cattle yards in those days, I looked around and went, "There's 70 people I don't know. Even my brother would be better to have him on my side if something's going to go down." So he was the enemy that was wasn't as bad as the unknown enemy. So can you now understand? I go, I'm not worried about what you've done. I'm worried about the next 12 years.
Yeah.
So, but what I underestimated or overestimated was during that 12 years he would never back me up.
I'm confused. We should do a relationship podcast about you and your brother, because you've still you both built houses together, robbed banks and TABs together, and then even after all this shit, after you got out of jail, you went back into building together. Because
look, should I be angry because his level of my expectations was wrong?
No, and you answered that very well before. I do understand where you're coming from. I'm just a little bit confused. You're a very forgiving man.
Well, I didn't say I forgive. I understand.
Yeah.
But
I'll deal with it, process it.
Or maybe more disappointment.
Yeah, fair call. So your art, how did you're saying you'd already broken away from the life of crime when you went in. So when you're doing your time, you're 10 and a half years or 12, subject to debate.
Let's go 13. Can we push it to 13?
We'll add another year. Yep.
We probably deserved it.
Well, yeah, you might go back in after this.
Or sarcasm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can sentence you. I'd try. You were always you weren't going to go back to the life of crime. It wasn't sort of thinking. It was so it wasn't a watershed moment in the jail that you thought, no, this life's not for me. You knew at the moment.
I'll give you something.
Yeah.
This is a word of advice to everybody in the world.
Yeah.
Run by Dougie's rules.
Okay.
When you make a decision and you feel you're weakening on that decision, stand up and look in the mirror. And you ask yourself, yes, perhaps I can lie to other people, but what sort of man lies to himself?
Yeah. Fair call.
So if you make a decision you know it's right, I'll be honest, 3 or 4 years after I was out, it was really hard pushing, and it's a tough life coming out of 12 years of jail and having to settle back down to earning a living. And I had a moment where one night I sat there and thought about the future. And I was trying to make a decision, do I continue on this righteous path? And I said, it's pretty tough. And then I went, try a bit harder, Dougie, try a bit harder. because I'm not going to lie to myself. And that's it. Every time it gets tough, go back to what you believe was the correct decision and don't lie to yourself.
Give yourself an uppercut.
And it was the right decision.
Yeah.
I go and watch my grandchildren play football now.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at you, and you don't look like you're a man that's been broken by life. There's a lot of positive.
You know the saying,
vibes.
the army makes and breaks?
Yeah.
I had so much adventure and fun in jail. Yeah. I got shot at during an escape attempt.
Yeah.
You know, the screw came down to my cell in H Division that night, knocked on the trap and said, "Dougie, am I okay?" And at first I thought, what's he talking about? Then I got it. Our family are police shooters.
Right.
He might think I'll retaliate in 12 years' time.
Ah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
We used to sit down years later and laugh about that day.
So tell us about, because you do meet up with a lot of the corrective, well, not a lot, but you have socialised, I suppose, having a beer with former corrective services officers. Because what are you doing at the new Pentridge jail? Or it's not a jail anymore. It's you describe it, a bar.
Well, what I like to think is I'm educating people on the brutality, what you're going to expect if you cross the blue line. I like to call it the blue line that you cross, or the cost of crime. There's a cost of crime to both sides. I guarantee you've had the cost of crime.
Yeah, yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
It. Yeah.
There's not really a good story anywhere on either side, because prison officers became depressed. They became broken marriages, all sorts of things, because of the stress of the situation. I went out with a prison officer for 3 years, 10 years after I got out of jail.
Yeah.
And I learned about what it was like for those guys. Oh, she wasn't a guy; she was a woman. But I mean,
sorry, Doug.
Yeah,
we're not cutting that out. You run with that.
I'll show you. I'll show you photos later.
Okay.
And I learned a lot about the jail from the other side.
Yeah.
About all the heavies that were giving people up. I have a great understanding for the overall picture.
Yeah.
Now, as far as go back to the question. Have you forgotten the question you asked me? Because I have.
No, well, we're talking about...
what I do at Brewdog at the jail. It's a very good platform to raise what the price is of crime. If I want to talk about car racing, well, let's do it while we watch Alan Moffat or Peter Brock or whatever. So let's take it to where we have some feeling for it, and you can come and visit me, and I'll tell you about what it's really like and what the cost will be. Now, it's like, so there in that situation, I've bumped into a lot of ex-prison officers, and they all want to put their arm around me, and I just jest with them, and I give them the same lip. I had a governor that punished me very severely once and put me in H Division, and they were taking photos of us, and I had my arm around his shoulder like you normally do in the old photos with... And I was whispering in his ear when everybody was too far away to hear. I go, "Remember that jelly night? You never got me." So I like to give people a slap even 40 years later. And he laughed. He said, "Yeah, I know." And we both had a laugh about it.
But not everyone would be capable of that. I would imagine there's a lot of people that there's a resistance. There's the blue and the green, and people...
Sure. Yeah. Well, I like to say it this. And you'll... Look, because you're very understanding, because you've been in the... We're not much different, really, because we both understand, right? Now, I like to say to people, why would I be angry at a copper? I don't remember coppers coming to my house and dragging me into a bank and making me rob it.
Yeah.
Now, I can go the other way. Because my brother told me that I would not come in, I would be heavily armed, the armed robbery squad held my family hostage in my house for 4 days. My 3 and 5-year-old son and daughter had to sit in the bathroom all day. And I sometimes wonder if they were old enough to comprehend that if I walked through that door, I was going to be shot. So there's always two sides.
Yeah, and I understand it would have been an intense situation when the cops are after you. And,
exactly. But I don't give them much other avenue. So who's responsible for what my children went through?
Well, you do impress me in the fact that you take ownership of all the stuff. When you look back at all the places that were robbed, I know, and speaking to other people that bank robbers from the past didn't fully appreciate the psychological damage. You walk out, you haven't shot anyone, you think, oh well, I'm not a bad person.
But the damage is done, and I'll touch
on that.
So the actual stress is perceived stress, but guess what? That is real. That is far more damaging. I'll tell you a story from my side. A young fella that believed he was going to be beaten up the next day by a heavy in jail was so stressed, he went to his cell with no mother to turn to, no phone call to talk to his brother or his sister or his father. The stress of being beaten up, and only by hand, he hung himself that night.
Yeah.
It's the perceived situation that stresses people. I jokingly say now, people say, could you rob a bank? I'd go, I could. I'll tell you how I'd do it. I would do the job. Let's say jobs should still be done, because we've got to go back to that era.
Yeah.
I would do the job, and as I walk through the door as I'm leaving with the cash, I would throw my water pistol back over my head and go, I'm sorry, but it was just a water pistol. Don't stress. I'm gone. Because now I understand the stress.
Yeah.
But I didn't perceive that stress because, I'm jovial about it even if I was robbed.
Yeah.
So therefore, I believed all Army soldiers, Navy, Air Force, police, bank tellers are trained. What I didn't realise is they all have different personalities and levels of stress.
Yeah,
there's probably police officers that suffer worse than me. Oh, absolutely more. I don't suffer because I accept all this. And see, you can't hurt me. Nobody in the world can hurt me. I carry the demons. I'm my worst critic.
Well, you made that point earlier on that, how's your life? Well, judge it in the last 10 seconds of your life and you look back and can you face yourself in the mirror and I've done everything I can. What's a message you'd give for young, and I don't think, no matter what, maybe there's a retro thing, the music comes back in fashion, clothing comes back in fashion, maybe robberies and banks come back in fashion.
God, I hope so.
Oh, that'd be crazy. But I doubt it. But the currency of crime now, there's different type of crime than back in the day, and, back 20 years ago. But what message would you give to young bloke or girls these days that think it's glamorous a life of crime and where the consequences might be you end up in prison or carry the guilt?
Over the last 35 years, I've trained many, many young men as apprentices.
Yep.
All of them talk to me with total freedom because they know who I am.
Yeah.
There was one apprentice that was selling party drugs, pills. And he came to me one day, I know what they're doing, I'm not going to condemn them. Yeah. It's not my role to condemn people.
Yeah.
I'll try and point out what you'll get yourself into. I won't condemn you and I won't tell you what you can do with your life. For all I know, you're a bad person, but that's your business. Now, this guy, he comes to me on I think it was a Monday, and he said, oh, look, on a Friday night, he met with 3 guys with $1,000 for some pills for the weekend to sell. And he said, but what happened was they had machetes, and this is about 10 years back. So machetes have been around for a while. They are a very intimidating piece of equipment. Now, he said, what they did was they took my $1,000 and didn't give me any pills. And I said, well, you're about to learn the lesson of crime. What happens in crime? You can't control its direction. What will happen is you have to make a decision now. Are you going to take the next step and rearrange with somebody else to meet these guys, and you'll turn up with a bigger machete?
Yeah, well, that's...
And then what they'll do is they'll arrange to get back at you with a bigger machete, which might be a gun. So today I want you to think about if you're in or you're out. He came back to me at 3:30. He said, Doug, I'm out. I said, I'm very happy for you. You made the right decision.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is young people, they start selling a bit of drugs so they don't have to pay for their drugs.
Yeah.
What they don't realise is you slowly get in deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm going to use the great Carl Williams.
Yeah.
Carl Williams tried to use the press to make some drugs and make some money.
East Pill Press. Yeah.
Yep. What happened was they found out and they shot him. Carl probably asked himself, when Carl was doing the drugs at that stage, he didn't perceive himself as being a killer.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, I think this is a reasonable way of describing it. Yep.
Then they shot him. So he made a decision to retaliate. If Carl Williams walks away when he was shot, a lot of people don't die.
Yeah.
But what happens in crime, it keeps escalating out of control, like my brother, when his ego escalated him out of control and he shoots Ray Koch. It's not this crime or that crime or that crime. It happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens in crime. You lose control and you maybe stupidly go to the next level. That's it. That's what you have to tell young people.
Well, I think I haven't heard it spoken that way, but that's a good breakdown of a cautionary tale of how it can escalate, and before you know it, you're in deeper than you care to be.
Yep.
And the consequences are pretty heavy. Look, I will wrap up on that note.
Yep.
Just the stuff you do with your art, if people want to reach out to you and the type of things, what are you doing these days?
Well, probably the only important thing is some of the money that I raise from art, and I don't know if you can see that. That's a bluestone key ring with Ned Kelly painted on it.
Okay. Yep.
Now, we sell these things. I'm going back working with the Salvos, and we'll be selling them for about $15, and $5 will go to the guys who make them, $5 will go to the guys who sell them, and $5 will go to the Salvos. And I've got a deal with one of the chaplains that they'll tell me things that young people getting out of jail require to set their lives up. So what I want to do is spend some time raising money and going back to mentoring, because I've done mentoring with prisons before. And it's like we can all be a show pony, or we can all do things for... The things that you do that are positive will give your life some value.
Yeah.
I seek value in my life.
I can understand that. You look like you're enjoying your life. Where can people reach out to you if they want to contact with you?
Well, if they go to Brewdog Pub at Pentridge Jail and they ask for Doug, they'll be told, no, he's not here today, or he is here today. But I'm retired. So in theory, I'm supposed to be the jail artist and historian every day after 3 o'clock.
Okay.
But sometimes I get lazy.
Well, we all need a day off every now and then. Doug, I've enjoyed the chat. Thanks for making the effort and giving us an insight into a world that most of us don't get to see or fully understand. That's what I like to do on the podcast. That's what we've been trying to do for years. Let people fully understand what goes on in the world of crime, because there's this misconception. But people have now, okay, this is a real live armed robber, and we've just had a sit-down chat and talking to an ex-cop. Who would have thought? So I appreciate your honesty.
You don't seem a bad bloke for a copper.
You're all right for an armed robber too.
That's been quoted in books, actually.
Yeah, fair call. All right. Well, thank you very much, and
And
we'll stay in
one
touch.
last thing, and you got to think about this.
Okay.
I will never know if I've ever helped anybody, but it doesn't matter. I tried.
I like your attitude on things, Doug. I can see why you made it through some hard times and come out the other end. Good stuff. Take care.